Welcome everyone to the Liverpool Daily News. I'm your host David Comerford and I'm joined by Mark Wakefield to discuss some of the big talking points from Liverpool's victory over Tottenham Hotspur. Obviously that thrilling 4-3 win on Sunday. And we'll start with some of the refereeing controversy, Mark. Ryan Mason after the game says that Diogo Jota, who obviously scores Liverpool's winning goal right at the end, shouldn't have been on the pitch, that he should have been shown a red card for his challenge on Oliver Skipp, where he caused him in the face with a high boot. What did you think of it? Do you think if it was the other way around, that Klopp would have maybe wanted a red card for the offender?
I'm not one to speak on behalf of him, but I think it was a red card. I can see why Mason was quite annoyed, but on the same side of it, Skip himself did one on Diaz earlier on in the game, which whilst wasn't a high boot, was a very very bad tackle, which was at the very least deserving of a yellow, if not a red itself. So I can understand why Mason's annoyed. I think a lot of the emotions behind it would have been, conceding a 94th minute goal after just getting back into the game from 3-0 down. I think part of that would have been the reasons behind his irritation. But yeah, I mean, part of it is certainly valid. But I think from his point of view, I think Klopp said after the game, didn't he? He has to be reminded of the fact that one of his own players did a similar challenge, well, not similar, but a red card where they challenged himself and wasn't picked up on. So, we don't want to see players get sent off, but at the same time, you don't want to let players get away with it either.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was strange. Paul Tierney missed the incident with Diaz. Didn't even award a free kick for it. I don't know. I assume it was checked by VAR afterwards. They didn't see it necessarily being a red card, but I think just sort of thankful that nothing bad happened there with Diaz, because obviously it was on his ankle. I'm not sure if it was the actual ankle that he's had the problems with, all season. But yeah, it's just it's fortunate that it wasn't more serious, given the nature of the challenge, I suppose. What do you think of Klopp's behaviour yesterday? I mean, obviously we saw him kind of running up to the fourth official at the end, basically celebrating in his face, and then he makes these comments after the game, suggesting that Paul Tierney might have a bit of an issue with him. I mean, the whole thing with Tierney now, it feels like it's becoming a little bit untenable almost.
Yeah, I can't say I completely agree with what Klopp's saying. I think the reason he celebrated in front of the fourth official was in relation to, I think Salah got penalised for a foul, I think a couple of minutes before the moment. So I can't remember exactly, but I think that was the main reasons why he got penalised for a foul. That is not a foul on any football pitch. So I think that was the reason why he was annoyed. Let's not forget, if Tierney did have some form of agenda, which I personally don't think he does, I think it's just in the heat of the moment thing. But if he does, then would he have given that penalty? It's relatively clear, but you've seen one similar to that not given, and he could easily have just waved play on and let VAR try and decide, didn't he? So, again, a lot of it is the emotions of the game. I think Klopp would have been annoyed, probably very soft word to use now, annoyed because this team is 3-0 up and they got pulled back to 3-3, which you shouldn't do on any football pitch, especially at home. Take away the fact that it's a top four, or maybe not a top four, but certainly a European rival. 3-0 up at home, you certainly shouldn't be losing the game. You almost certainly shouldn't be drawing the game. So again, I think a lot of the reactions after the game were down to the emotions on both sides. Both sets were probably annoyed for a variety of reasons. Tottenham for conceding a late goal, and Liverpool for letting a 3-goal lead slip.
Yeah, what do you think of the fact that it was so emotional? Because we saw Newcastle and Manchester United both win in 2 o'clock games, which meant that this one more had the feel of a battle for fifth than it did kind of a Champions League qualification battle. But yeah, you can see at the end, the scenes when Tottenham equalised were obviously mad enough in themselves. And then Liverpool, obviously, the manager's pulling his hamstring. He's that delighted on the touchline. I mean, it was surprising almost that it did become so emotionally charged, given that the stakes were actually, potentially quite low.
I suppose so, but I mean, Liverpool, they want to win games of football, and especially like the Tottenham have been a direct rival of the likes of Man United, Man City, Everton. Not as much as that, but certainly a rival for Europe. And ever since they faced each other in the Champions League final a few years ago, that rivalry certainly from their side of things has been heightened. They'll always hold it against us that we beat them in their chance to win a European Cup for the first time. So I think the Richarlison factor at the moment played a part in it. Liverpool fans, I don't think many will say that they like him too much. I think the feeling's quite mutual as well, given his Everton connections. And when I can't really blame him for celebrating the way he did. He scored a late equaliser from a team 3-0 down. It's his first league goal since signing in the summer. Can't blame him too much. It just it's a lot of Liverpool fans given his Everton connections, and then anytime a team scores a late equaliser and then goes on to win the game. I mean, I think back to, if you remember, a few years ago when Salah scored that brilliant individual goal a few years ago against Tottenham, and then I think that was made to make it 2-1, and then a few minutes later, the referee awarded the penalty in stoppage time to make it 2-2. So it had shades of that in a way, and thankfully from this time it was Liverpool benefiting from it.
Yeah, definitely. There was a stat during the coverage yesterday, and I think it was that Klopp has played, or Klopp has overseen, I think it was 16 games against Tottenham as a manager, 16 or 17, and he'd only lost one of them. But a lot of those victories that he's picked up have been very intense. I mean, there's a couple of games where there's been kind of late winners. There was the season during the title race where Carragher called Salah a little dancer right at the end because of Liverpool nicking it. So much as it has been one-sided in terms of results, the games have tended to be close. But obviously it didn't seem like it was going to be yesterday with Liverpool racing into that 3-0 lead within 15 minutes, and everybody was thinking we're watching the Newcastle game for Tottenham repeating itself. But Spurs did end up fighting back. Part of that was them pushing the door open, but also Liverpool maybe left it ajar. Now that the dust has settled a little bit on that game and we've sort of been able to sleep on it, how do we feel about it? Because a big 3 points, one of the most memorable moments of the season, certainly. And a lot of positive take from the performance itself in terms of how Liverpool took Spurs apart early on. But the manner of the collapse is surely a bit of a concern as well on the flip side.
Yeah, I mean, I think Klopp's job is to focus on the negative as well. Obviously take pride in the positive, but to focus on the negative, try and make sure that those things don't happen again. And I think I can't remember which pundit said it after the game, but it basically summed up both sides' scenes in the way that game, can be brilliant in moments and chaotic in others, and absolute terrible in other moments as well. And both sides certainly showed that. From Liverpool's perspective, I think this season, I think you've just got to get wins on the board. It's not about the way they play. What we know what's coming this summer. We don't know what players are coming in, or certainly what players are going out. But we know full well it's going to be a very different Liverpool that lines up at the start of next season. So I think Klopp's probably trialing something. Trying the system. With Trent in midfield. Is that going to be what he's going to do next season? We don't know. It depends what players he brings in. But from their point of view, it should just be about just getting wins on the board at this point. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just try and get wins on the board, because if they're not going to win a trophy, 99% certain they're not going to get top four. So it's just about trying to build some confidence, try and try and get some bonus confidence, if you like. We beat a top four rival there, or European rival. Now you've got, I'm not certainly going to say easier games, because Liverpool have made hard work of, certainly on the road this season, harder work of teams in the bottom half. You've got Leicester, you've got Southampton next away from home. If they're both near the bottom end, or certainly relegation, they're going to be fighting for their lives, and maybe even harder than the Spurs game. So, from their point of view, or from Liverpool's point of view, they should just take every game as just, let's just get the 3 points and get out of here, and then just look ahead to next season, because, this one hasn't been anywhere near what Liverpool have wanted. They've not won a trophy, but and they're not looking like they're going to get top four, whichever way you look at it, is a failure. It's a failure. Maybe go back 10 years or so ago, it might not have been, but given in the Klopp era recently, it has to be. And it's certainly going to be a different Liverpool next season. Whether it's going to be any better, we'll have to wait and see on that. But it's certainly not going to be the same Liverpool team that's what lines up against Tottenham. That's going to hopefully start the first game of next season.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the way last season ended in terms of Liverpool suffering that kind of really brutal double blow with the final day of the Premier League and the Champions League final carried into this season, and really there was a sort of emotional hangover in a bad way. You wonder if Liverpool can really finish the season strong and win maybe all of their games or all but one, then does that give you kind of more positive momentum that you can use and kind of restore the optimism? Because if you think of Liverpool maybe finishing 5th in the league, then you would have thought that maybe the players would be a little bit on the floor after that. But if, like you say, you can restore those confidence levels before the season, maybe we even look back on the way this season ended as a key sort of component of next season if it is a success, because especially with a change of system to it, foundations might just be being laid. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there for this morning. Remember to check out all the written content that goes up on Liverpool.com today, and all the obviously reaction to the game on Blood Red. And we will see you at the same time tomorrow for another stream. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.